Today's guest is somebody whose music you may know, may love. You may have seen her on stage doing what looks kind of crazy. You might have been in the audience while you were transcended, or you might be following her on the social, seeing those clips, seeing those images, and thinking, wow. Now, if you think you know her, I promise you, you don't. Today, you get to find out so much more. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Relebogile Mabotja podcast. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure that you're the first to find out when we drop an episode, not just of the podcast, all the other content that we have on the channel. Now, today's guest is somebody whose work I have admired for years, right? Now, it becomes tricky when you admire and then you know, but then you want to fangirl and then, it's man. Guys, give it up for the phenomenal, the gorgeous, the just talented Zoë Modiga.
No, fangirl. How does that work?
Ma'am,
explain this, Miss
Ma'am, before I even had met you properly, I was obsessed with your song. And I remember when you came to 702 and I was doing one of my, I can't remember if you were performing at, you were coming to perform at Unplugged.
Yes.
And you were at the old building.
Exactly.
And I thought to myself, okay, girl, get it together. And then I was like, I just hope she sings my song. When you sang Love, guys. That song.
That is so beautiful. Thank you. Especially coming from you, because I think you're such an incredible broadcaster with a beautiful legacy that you've paved for yourself. And I mean, we've collaborated in other production things, which is really cool. And there's this new music thing that you're just giving the girlies, So it's beautiful to be here as well. I'm a big fan of this platform.
Man.
And hearing that coming from you is kind of like, I'm famous now.
So
Tell me anything.
I have to say, one thing that stands out is I have seen your love for the visual part of, I don't even want to say your brand, but like how you exploring, how you express yourself through your fashion evolve so beautifully. Because I think about from the time you were, there singing at The Voice and still not really out there to dropping your album, but now I almost feel like you gave yourself permission to experiment.
Absolutely. And actually, it's funny you mentioned The Voice, because we were on the first season. Miss Lyra was my coach and my mentor. And even then, we were actually experimenting with the wardrobe. So myself and the presenter at the time was Stacy, if I'm not mistaken. And between me and her, we would be like, okay, that's what you're going to wear this week. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do this week. But we had a lot of beautiful times with Ukwanele behind the scenes, putting the looks together on The Voice. And they actually would even exercise a lot of liberty in as far as like how I present. So I would say, okay, we're doing what, for example, like feels like Teen Spirit this week. I'll be able to rehearse it. And I rehearse with movement.
Yes.
Because I really suck at learning even my own lyrics that I write. But
really?
Then I would direct like the show or say, okay, I would like to be on a piano this week. And then I'd be on there, But as far as like image making, I think it can't be removed from the storytelling, because people see as much as they listen, as much as they taste, as much as they touch. And if you want to create like these impactful experiences and influential experiences, much like all the cultural icons that have been doing what they've been doing for as long as they've had. When I see Michael Jackson, I think of that jacket. I think of those white socks.
And the gloves.
And the gloves. When I see Mom Brenda Fassi, there's certain things that I attach to her, like the platinum blonde hair. So it's like taking people into the world of the messaging of the music, I think begins with like what they see. So it's so much fun to play and to not take it seriously and to express in that way as well.
I just had a wild realization as you were speaking. I've interviewed and spoken to so many people who have been in reality singing music competitions and have worked behind the scenes in many of them. But it's the first time I'm having this realization.
What is it?
Which is, a lot of the time we focus on the part of what did the experience help you with? And it will always be about the music and, oh, the musical director helped me with this. But we never really speak about the fact that you are getting first-hand experience of having people pair your sound and the theme with wardrobe. That there's a whole wardrobe department that is dedicated to say, if let's say it's an Idols where they do a group opening number, this is the look. And the reason that I just thought about that now is because if you were just let's say a recording artist, maybe even being indie, that part usually comes towards the end when you're doing the PR pictures, as opposed to it being just part of when you're doing the music. Everybody knows we're doing jazz, therefore you're wearing tassels. Like, it was always a full experience. Why am I only realizing this now?
I would say my experience of it is actually way before The Voice South Africa, because many people don't know. In that first season, a lot of us were already professional musicians.
Yes.
We were already people that were actually being paid for what it is that we do, doing all kinds of festivals and things. The only thing was that you couldn't pay for that kind of PR, where people have their eyeballs and they're rooting for the people that they're rooting for. But my brush with wardrobe and music actually begins growing up like any other young millennial 1994 freeborn baby would, where you're watching MTV, Channel O the whole day, and you're watching music videos and you're emulating those music videos because you want to be them.
Yes.
And then you're like tucking things in so that you can like show your tummy, because Shakira's also belly dancing in the thing. So I would say that's when I was aware of the artist being the entire experience through music video culture and seeing like, oh, why does this person have like curly hair that's blonde instead of something else? You know, what makes people like this person? You know, what is the first thing I think of when I think of this artist? And it would always be, yes, the music for sure, but definitely the image.
I love how you are directly speaking of the 1994, because I wasn't getting it, and then I realized, 1985, we heard the music via LPs and radio first. When then, I think VH1 came first.
Yes.
And then you're exposed to Aliyah, and then we knew the pants must be down, and then get tank top.
And the pants
and the
always
music
down. The pants always hung low.
But the music came first. So if and maybe you can share from your experience. I'm thinking of, let me use an Adele as an example, who, if I were to think of a singer off the top of my head who is just a voice, and I think you get what I mean by just a voice, that she can walk on stage and and sing, and it doesn't need anything else, versus a Beyoncé where it's choreography and all of these things. What, from your view, makes the Adeles different from the others? Because some people will think, well, these are all gimmicks. Whereas you being a full-on artist, you see them intertwined, but you do get the few that it's not. If you even think about Adele, majority of the time, especially earlier, she was wearing black on stage, just her and the piano, and that was... even Celine Dion, outside of her telling us about the fact that if her shoe is a size 4, she's a size 8, she's gonna wear it.
Like, I'm gonna wear the shoe like this.
Dude,
I love her so much. It's like the seismic gift, and then she just doesn't take herself too seriously. She's got such a sense of humor. Well, look, I think Adele definitely does have an image, because when I think of Adele, I think of the black dresses.
Yes.
I think of the hair. You know, I think of a gown. So she definitely does have an image, you know, and it may not necessarily be, like you were saying, like high production level, lights, camera, stage fans, dancers everywhere, gowns, beautiful gowns, costume changes, you know, but she definitely does have a considered thing about her image. I think none is necessarily better or worse than the other. I think where you get to really appreciate talent is when a person is in the position of being able to embody themselves fully. So I've done this masterclass in the past where I was talking to like younger learners about how, like, the kind of performer I am, right? A lot of the times when people have seen me outside of my shows, they do see the more poised, because people usually call on me for like the slower poised things. But when I'm doing my own shows, it's a little bit of a headless chicken type of situation. And there's method in the madness, but it is, a lot of body movement, a lot of owning the stage, a lot of owning the moment, and embodying myself in that way. But I was explaining to these learners that there's different ways to embody. You don't have to jump up and down stage if that's not what you feel called to. For some people, embodying is to literally sit and be all-consuming, like in your aura, like an Adele, where you just let the voice speak. But even that has a madness and a method to it. Because to be able to grab people's attention, we have like the attention span of like goldfish right now. So to be able to get and keep that and keep people in your moment with you, is also a method. So it's different strokes for different folks. But I just love to see artists embody entirely who it is that they are, unapologetically embody it. If it's a layered experience, let it be that. If it's a light, let it be that. I went to the Sunbet sometime recently and I watched a band called Cigarettes After Sex. And you don't see them at all as a band. And that is the band name. You don't see them as a band. You literally just see a silhouette and there was a disco ball. And it felt like you were in a trance the entire time, but you could not even make out the people on stage and the faces. But it was so all-consuming, and there were so many of us taking in that moment. So you'll have that. And then I watched the Doja Cat, and she was all up in that, doing a lot of like my choreography, landing, a big like 80s kind of theme. And then you get Tyla, who had like an entire a cohort of like dancers on stage, moments, and then she comes down, she's giving people, wait, was she the one giving people roses? I don't remember. But so it's just like all this colorful way that people embody themselves. And
it's so weird. I was thinking about Doja Cat when you said disco ball, because that was absolutely beautiful. But how weird is it? You're speaking about Cigarettes and Sex?
Yeah, Cigarettes After Sex.
Cigarettes After Sex. Yeah. I must find that band. And what you described is similar to the vision I had for you when you came to Miss South Africa. Remember?
Yeah.
Because I always wanted to do this idea of silhouette and that opening with the sheer thing. So when and it's weird because obviously my brain is always in production mode. It's never just sound. It's always what is the entire experience in the room, what is the entire experience. But all I knew was I just want something to lift, a silhouette, hear the voice, and just... Did you have fun there?
Sure. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was so beautiful. Look, I'm like Ndonia Manzi, right? I'm a dark-skinned Han, and there's so many experiences that come with that growing up, especially at the time that I did. Now it's like everything is inclusive. We see different kinds of beauties and that kind of thing. But I came from a time where that wasn't the case.
Because of colorism issues.
Because of colorism issues. And I had to really learn over time to step into that love and embody that love for myself, And I would always look to Miss South Africa. I grew up watching it. And I would see the kind of beauty that would be displayed on that stage and be like, wow, it was something that was aspirational as a young girl who would wear princess dresses to church every Sunday, the really itchy ones.
With the stockings. Dude, those stockings. They had lace in the stockings. Do you know how itchy lace can be?
I am a child. Okay. I'm not yet accustomed to suffering for beauty.
Yep.
So coming from that experience and then being asked to be a part of that and to see the diverse beauty on there and the intellect and the ways in which the ladies thought and just the spunk and the production and the way that the treatment was also so beautiful, both behind the scenes, even with what people saw, as far as like what they were experiencing of the show. It was such a beautiful experience. I had my friends there because it was also like, hey man, like I felt like it was a career highlight for me. So it was a big moment. It was beautiful. It was considered, and it's beautiful to be a part of considered things where the culture of the space is taken care of. You know, it's not just people like, hey, come sing, but it's like, hey, we're family and we're doing this together and we want the same thing. We want to make magic because this is a global stage. You know, it's not just here at home.
Please help me understand why being booked for, let's say, corporates or for other people's shows can be more challenging than your own show. And I mean, in different ways, the corporates where they get to dictate. And I mean, I've been on the other side of like, no, you must sing this song and wear this color. And it's like, okay, you're just being like a model where you're told what to wear versus the part where you get to decide, but it's your money. You know, like that yin and yang of, I don't know. I sometimes feel like we're in a conundrum of limited creative expression because of all the things that comes with. But maybe share from your perspective, because clients will get to dictate certain things to you. But when it's your thing,
that's such an interesting thing. Look, I love music. I've always loved music. I've loved different kinds of music. Music was always my friend. It was always the place that I could go. And it was different things that I enjoyed about it. I enjoyed that people would like sing in different ways and that they would present themselves in different ways. And so when I think of myself as a musician offering a product, for lack of a better word, I love being pulled. I love different elements of who it is that I'm being pulled. You know, I've had the pleasure of being friends with music for many, 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 many years. And as much as I'm aware I'm a gifted person and I have a calling for what I do, I've also worked hard for it, you know, because I revere it. I revere where it comes from. I revere the people that I walk with who I think have also guided me, my angels of light in the process. I revere my audience. I revere the people that give me the time of day to even call on me. Because there's so many of us. It's oversaturated. Everyone has something to say. Everyone has something to give. Everyone has their calling and their gift, but you, of all people, decided, oh, Zoë Modiga, you know? So I love different things being pulled. Like, what is it that you want? Oh, say a dancer. Okay. What is it that you want? Oh, the catting. Okay. Like, I love it. And also, I'm a theater kid as well.
Dude, this is why I'm getting so excited because I love...
Like I get to role play. Like,
and yes.
Give me things. I want things. Man. So I enjoy that. You know, I remember, so when I was much younger, how I got into what I do, a lot of people think it's The Voice South Africa. It's actually when I was like around 11, 12. And I said to my mom, I'm tired, man. I want to sing. And I would say it all the time. It pissed her off so much. And she was working in art club at the time. And she was like, hey, there's actually these auditions that are happening for this art club Afrikaans festival. And I was like, put me in, coach. Let's go. So we went to a music shop. We grabbed like these CDs that have like backtracks on there. So that's like big ballads.
Please don't tell me it was the bump. You know, remember the bump?
I remember the bumps.
Where you thought you're listening to Britney Spears, but it was someone else because we couldn't afford the original album.
And the CDs looked like disco balls. I remember Bump. And it was like this compilation of songs. I remember Bump. But it was like backtracks that you find where the lead vocal isn't singing. So that means you can like perform with the stuff. And we got that and we would, you know, go to those auditions and, you know, get to perform and won a lot of those competitions as well. So that's actually the very beginning of how I started doing corporate work when I was much younger, and people would be like, oh, she's going to go so far. You know, when you're very young and you're aware of some of what's been placed inside of you at an early age, there's a certain thing about that like people are like, oh man. It's like when I see, because Mana right now, the way that they raise the flag, they're incredibly gifted. And I see so much, obviously not of myself because it's their experience, but I recognize like young talent in that way. And I'm protective of it in that way. But that is actually my first brush with it, you know, with music. And, you know, even when I was doing that, I remember we tried to reach out to Sis Judith Sepuma's team because all the discs only had music from, you know, the States. there wasn't like any local music. And I really wanted to do a cry, a smile, and a dance. So we reached out on Facebook. My daughter would like to. And she responded. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm flabbergasted. What do you mean?
Does she know the story?
So we did a rebirth of Ubuntu literally this year, at the top of the year. And we were talking with each other because how crazy. I get to like talk to these incredible people. And we brought that up. And I was like, yeah, do you remember? And she's like, yeah, I remember.
How wild.
But that's how the whole thing of being like a professional musician then comes to play.
Please talk to me about your relationship with mom, because there's something that changes in how you speak. I mean, I know you're sharing the story in particular about you being young and it being about music, but the older I get, the more I recognize the importance of a parent that's like, okay, there's this happen. Like you're 11, you're 12, and many people growing up in African households, I'll also say brown households, so Indian, Asian, where you're not, it's quite strict and firm, where parents won't necessarily be encouraging with you being that young. They might be like, when you're 18. But with all of that, I'm just hearing, dang, like you had that kind of mother. Please tell me about her.
It's so incredible, right? And I understand that a lot of us as people of color may not necessarily have the support that we would need, especially if you want to venture into the arts. And I think it comes from a place of them just wanting you to win. And it's like, is my child, is this going to work out for them? You know, is this a viable profession to choose? You know, so I get the care. But it really wasn't my experience at all. I was made by two parents who were the first to explore their prospective careers and then lift their families up. So I think they understood what it is to be the first, so to speak, to do what it is that you do and to create new pathways that haven't necessarily been there before. So obviously they then make this interesting little cookie baby Zoe who is very, very interested in music and dolls and makes songs at a very early age and is asking to have a recorder as a present on her 5th birthday and is making clothes out of like material that she finds around the house for her dolls, you know. That was always there. And I think the beauty of them and my family entirely is that they never punished me for that which I had, you know. They embraced it. Like they really embraced it and they saw it the first time. By the time we were doing, at 6 years old, I was already leading junior choirs with a guy called Thokozani. He's actually an actor now.
Wait, which Thokozani?
I forget his surname. Zikobu is his surname. Yeah, but he's an actor. And we were leading a song. We were leading songs in our junior choir in St. Nicholas in KZN. And even then, you know, they would come to the performances if they could. But because my parents also worked and I didn't live with them, I lived with my grandfather for a time when he was alive and then lived with my grandmother. I would have a neighbor who would actually go and catch itegisi with me and basically be the parental figure that would go and watch these shows. If I was acting as like an angel on those, you know, those Christmas shows, those cute
nativity plays and things.
So they would be there for that. And over time, it would be dance competitions, choir competitions, poetry competitions. They would be there when they could. Sometimes no one could be there, and I just had to champion myself. But I was never punished for what I had. It was always embraced, and perhaps that's why in my music, it always calls people back to themselves and like watering themselves, you know.
Why the choice of word? I mean, I think I get exactly what you mean, but why specifically punished for what I had?
I think when people walk into the world, like young souls, I think young souls are actually our elders. That's what I think.
I second you.
Yes, I think they're our elders and I think they have insight and I think I subscribe to God. I understand maybe not everyone watching maybe, but I subscribe to my creator and I think they are closer to God. And I think young people and young minds are innately more aware of who it is that they are than we are. And a lot of the times we spend our time actually trying to revert back to that version of ourselves. There are things now where I'm like, oh my gosh, I did that? Like, what do you mean I did that when I was younger? I don't even feel that courageous right now. And I have to actually map back to my younger self to be courageous about certain things, to navigate certain things, to have freedom in how I express myself. So when you don't allow someone to be innately what it is that they are, unfortunately, even if you mean well, there is a punishment that comes with that. Because now, okay, say for example, I wasn't supported. What would I be looking back to remember who it is that I am?
I mean, if you think about it, do you know that when babies are born, so imagine a child that can sit, let's even say that they can start to crawl. So they're not even one yet. We're talking like 6 to 10 months old. They are not afraid of snakes. So they do the exercise, put all these babies there, and then they bring these non-venomous snakes and put them down. The parents are freaking out and the kids are moving on with their lives. There's toys. Some of them are picking up the snake and looking. They are curious. Yeah. But the concept of fear is created by the people around you in your environment. Yeah. So if like what you say, which is why I completely agree with you about elders. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen a baby that is just smiling into nothingness. I always say they're seeing other spirits that we no longer see. And maybe also at the same time, maybe if we did see certain things, and seeing is not just eyes, if you hear what I'm saying. Maybe if we did see, knowing what we know, we would not be able to fathom, we would not be able to exist and go on the journey of returning to self. So that part about babies, and I said it from the moment, my son was in my belly, he's my teacher. Yeah. And the rule is we listen to him. So whatever he says, even if it sounds random or sporadic, you're just there to guide. But this is a complete soul.
Absolutely.
Now, who told this soul that we're scared of snakes?
Literally.
Who?
Literally.
But they come in just curious. Like, yes, we have to say, look, you can't put your finger in the hole of the plug unit. But other than
here
that,
and there.
you're a complete soul.
Sure.
We just think you're not a complete soul because you don't know not to put your finger in the thing, but you're a complete soul when you get here. So even like when you say, if they didn't do all of that, how would I remember who I was? My firm belief is, let's assume your parents didn't do all that. You still would have known, even if you didn't have memories of it. Yes. If you were born being this gifted child and it was suppressed through either abuse or non-support, you and maybe with getting older of certain layers slowly being stripped away, where I'm like, dang, I thought that was my personality trait. That was actually just a trauma response or whatever.
Yeah.
There's things I am internally knowing are me without having memory of it. But the point I want to get to is I feel like you are a lot more spiritual than maybe you even know yet. And I say this because I think if you were to know, it might be so overwhelming with, where you are in your early 30s. And as you get older, I don't want to use the word calling, spiritual calling, because I think people attach a certain picture of what that means. They imagine now you're there, throwing a matambo.
And shout out to the Amatambo.
Yes. An underground gang. But I feel so sure about that with you. There is something, and I see the comments when people talk about you that like, Zoe took me somewhere, right? And that is beyond music.
I've started feeling like I'm floating now. Because I'm very hypercritical of what I do. And I'm hypercritical because I believe in being like emotionally, spiritually, mentally hygienic, not just for myself, but my audience as well. So for me, that's the bottom line. Of course, beautiful gowns, of course, face beat, costume change when there's budget, beautiful, beautiful things. But the bottom line has nothing to do with entertainment. It's the place that music reaches that we wouldn't be able to put a location pin on. I'm very interested in that place. And I want to be able to have a legacy that caters to that place in a very respectful way, in a genuine way, in a way that heals people, in a way that grows people, But yeah, of late, going back to the other thing I was trying to say, because I'm like very excited. Of late, I've been feeling like I'm floating. Like I can't even go back and be like, I should have done this better. I should have done that better. Because I find that I'm not even fully aware of what's happening anymore.
Doesn't that sound to you like it's spiritual elevation? Because if you're no longer thinking about the physical, and obviously that's what you do as craftsmen, you go back to see what you can do better or different. Like, maybe I should. It's like the evolution of Michael Jackson's Human Nature. How now suddenly we all know reaching out, but it wasn't there at the beginning. And over the years it evolved. But for me, the moment you say I can't even remember, I'm like, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
That's because it doesn't matter.
It's like the place where egos die. It's like the place where we just serve each other. It's the place where you get what you need from the music. And I'm just helping to facilitate the thing. But like, thanks for buying the tickets though. It's like the place where we just like, but it's about me, but it has absolutely nothing to do with me. So I think that's where it is now.
You do believe that you are a vessel, and how far do you take credit? Because I know there are those who are like, yes, I've worked hard and I might have been born with a gift, but I had to be disciplined for X, Y, and Z. And then you get those who are like, if I was born tone deaf, none of this would even be possible. So how much of what you put out there, what you achieve, do you personally take credit for versus being like, I'm actually just a vessel. Whatever happens on stage shall be.
It happens. Well, I take responsibility for everything that comes with, I will say Zoë Modiga, the brand, but I don't like to dehumanize myself because I'm very much a human being.
Yes, we're deep.
I'm very much a human being. And I think when it comes to platform, I can imagine with people who are more acclaimed or mainstream or more well-known that it's probably triple scale what I'm going to be talking about now. But like, I think there's a thing about being platformed where you tend to be dehumanized. Like you're put on a pedestal and then you're not a human being who bleeds anymore, It's almost like I don't hurt when you tell me things or don't tell me things, But I say that to say that like I consider all of these things, and I know I'm a vessel because music is the vehicle. But for me, it's always been the people first. Because my first obsession, and music is a huge obsession, okay? For me to basically not have a life most of the time means music is my obsession. But the first obsession that I ever had was to observe people live. And then I realized, oh my gosh, music is always there. Like, Opilan is listening to music in his shack and his playlist is bomb. And like the lady opposite is like listening to music and she's spring cleaning the house and like you can hear she's cooking up like 7, 8, 15 colors and the music is bomb. But for me, it was always the people first because I was observing people live and I was fascinated by it. And it maybe came from being a child with big feelings because I always felt like there was like a heaviness that I walked with. I was aware of it very early. Some people attribute it to like old souls or something, but I don't know.
That's what
I don't know, Sway. I ain't got the answers.
Or past lives.
Or past lives, which I believe in. I don't think it's my first rodeo here. I would like it to be my last, to be honest.
How?
All right, guys. Yes.
What do you mean?
All right.
What do you mean? Like you want this to be your last?
I'd like to be like a spirit guide or like to be like a lady, not a ladybug. I'd like to be someplace else. because I don't feel like I actually belong here. I feel like I'm on borrowed time, and I don't even mean this in like better than us. You know what I mean? Like, I just when I was young, I always had that heavy feeling because something was always amiss about being here. But if I could observe people long enough, I could like take in the wonder of being here. So people gave me the wonder of like what it is to be alive and to be here. Does that make sense? So when you see people like just living their mundane lives, you know, even I'd be outside because I was born in Durban, Overport, raised in Pietermaritzburg, and I would literally be like, Sanbonani, Sanbonani, as people would pass. And Sanbonani means I see you, right? So it would always be this thing of like observing. And then my fascination with people was like, oh, okay, it's cool to be here.
So it's cool to be here. Let me tell you what I'm thinking, because I just needed a moment to think about what you said about the heaviness and all of those things. Né? Let's assume that the hypothetical scenario that you've lived many past lives has happened. And this is now the heavy one where maybe your soul is tired, right? Mm-hmm. But your experience in this life leads you to a place where whatever heaviness you had felt is now light, right? Mm-hmm. And this part comes to an end. And you are saying you would want to be like now a guide to, you know, whoever from that other realm. Do you feel like being a guide while still walking earth, as in the physical experience, is the part in itself that is tiring you, or the fact that whatever the journey of completion is tiring you?
Oh, that's very interesting.
Because I'm so curious about what you said, because if one doesn't remember their past lives, but I say remember from just a quick memory recall, even though your spirit knows. Mm-hmm. And the reason I believe that is you can walk into spaces you've never been before, meet people you've never met, but there's familiarity of sorts.
Yes.
Né?
Yes.
I'm trying to understand for you what feels heavy.
I think for me, what feels heavy is the thing I was kind of alluding to at the beginning, which is the feeling like I'm on borrowed time. It's the feeling of feeling like I'm the part of the puzzle that doesn't quite fit. And that is not just specific to me as a musician, to Zoë Modiga, the brand. It's been my entire life's experience for as long as I can recall being alive. You know, because even the idea of like the heaviness, like what 5-year-old is aware that they feel heavy and they can't explain why they feel heaviness? Like what even is that?
A 5-year-old with a spiritual calling.
Okay, very fair.
Sounds like to me, because
very fair.
And hear me out. I'm not trying to in any way be like, therefore go. But I would imagine that an all-knowing, full, complete, holistic soul at 5, that there's this thing you are experiencing that you cannot explain, but you know what it feels like. You recognize what you enjoy doing. You also discovered your gift so early, which we take for granted, is actually very rare.
That's very true.
That because the focus is always on what job am I going to eventually get? How am I going to sustain myself? The fact that came first, in my mind, I'm like, but this sounds like you have a spiritual calling of sorts, which might even go as far as, through the gift of music, is going to do a lot more than even you can imagine. And maybe because there's still so much creativity sitting in you, that is the weight. You have not put it out yet.
That's very interesting. Because, you know, when I think
How
of
did we get so deep so quickly?
Sana Jonga, deep dive.
Dang.
Maybe you might have a point, because I find that like I become the kid again. I become the kid that I wasn't when I was younger, because I was explaining the heaviness, and there was a lot of growing fast that I had to do. There was a lot of kind of raising myself that I had to do as well, in different ways. But I find now when I wonder, when I allow imagination in the room, when I express, I find that I'm finally becoming the kid that I never got to be when I was younger. So you know how we were saying earlier, yeah, you look to the child self, you know, but I'm realizing that like it's almost like I'm doing what I wish they would have had more opportunity to do, you know.
Can I say something random, but not random at all, because my brain is weird like that?
Mm-hmm.
Are you an amazing lover?
I think when I am truly seen, I am a spellbinding lover.
And you know, I thought that because you seem like a person who gives everything.
I think so. But when I'm truly seen.
When you are safe.
When I'm safe. Yeah. Because then it's like you're compelled. You know, I love that just compels you. Like, I want to wash your feet, you know, and not even in a servitude kind of way, but like you see my regality so easily. So it's so easy to serve your regality, you know, so easy to see you, to kid with you, to joke with you, to be with you, to create life with you, you know. So when I'm seen, and I don't think it's just a romantic thing, but, you know, when I am seen, I think the love is spellbinding, because it can't help but be. Do you know how many people aren't seen?
Dude, because...
there are people who are even in marriages, people who are in relationships, who are in families, who aren't actually seen. Have you ever heard someone explain you in a way where you're like, hi, how can you know me for so long and the way you're explaining me is not... And then
sometimes it's not even how they explain you. It's like, I've seen people talking about like the gift that their husband bought for them, right?
Yeah.
And how they were saying, it's a really nice gift, but it's not me.
Yeah.
Whereas my girlfriend spent barely any money, but it's me.
Yes. That there was a seeing me that happened there. Maybe someone gets like, I mean, there was a gift I got recently from a beloved human being, where we had been walking on a vineyard type of thing. And you know those acorns, the English bundles now, I don't know. Those things that fall from the tree.
Oh, acorn. Sorry. One moment I'm like, get acorn now, okay? Acorn the artist. Maybe just come do this and just kick it like that. I'm like, okay, acorn. Oh my gosh. That's so acorn.
Acorn. So you know that acorn that falls from the tree.
Not the air conditioner.
No. Not the acorn.
The acorn.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that thing that falls, and you get like a lot of them on the floor, on the ground. I remember picking one up, and I'd asked this particular person to like safekeep it, and they gave it to me as a birthday gift, spray painted. To me, look, I love 4x4s, and I would love to have a partnership with one. I just want to just shamelessly
put it out there.
But for me, that gift was like, this person sees me. This person completely sees me. To be able to remember that I picked this up, I asked you to safekeep it, and you brought it back, polished it, and presented it back to me. That is a seeing. That is like the kind of love that compels.
You explained that so well. Okay, I have to ask. You spoke about your parents, working, being raised in different environments. Did that in any way impact how you see romantic relationships? Because a lot of the time we talk now about like, well, my dad loved my mom so much that because the standard was high at home, but it doesn't mean that a boy who maybe was an only child and grew up doesn't know how to. Did that impact you in any way?
I'm sure, surely, I don't prioritize romantic love as the only version of love, but I am a hopeless romantic. I know it sounds like I'm saying two different things, but they're both true at the same time. You know, I was raised in a very like diverse family background, mixed, I think is what they would call it, where on one end I go home, I'm raised by my grandparents in a township setting, which I'm also raised, you know, by the entire community there.
Yes.
You know, because it's a party. And then when I see my paternal family, you know, it's Emakaya in the homelands, in the Eastern Cape. And that's where I also had other siblings that looked like me. We didn't share both parents, but, you know, for my dad's side, there was plenty of us. Shout outs to all of us. You know, so there was that. And then there was suburban life when I went to visit my mom, who was also trying to earn an honest living to give us opportunities. You know, so I don't think I've ever had a nuclear idea of family. I think it's always been like a disco ball, really, you know. And so I can imagine that has created my idea of like what a romantic relationship should be. But I think what it has helped with is to kind of realize that I'm an independent person. Because if you have to exist in so many different places, you kind of have to have some sense of self in that and kind of walk in that. And I've had that very deeply challenged as well. You know, I've been doing a lot of healing in that as well. So I think it challenges the sense of independence, but also gives a sense of independence and autonomy, you know, over myself and what it is that I think I am just by myself, but what it is that I think I would give to a romantic relationship, you know.
We before we close it off, is the ox your spirit animal? And I'm specifically saying an ox.
Interesting. I've never thought of the ox as my spirit animal. I've always thought like jellyfish or octopus.
Why? Do you love water?
I'm a water baby.
No, baby.
I'm a Pisces.
Oh, no. Or
No, baby.
yeah, angole.
Oh.
I don't know why, but just you'll ponder on that. Okay, we do something fun on the show.
There's a little burp coming up, so I feel like that's confirming what you're saying.
Okay, so all it is, you're gonna pick any card. These are soul cards, and it's just one of my favorite things to do because I feel like the right thing always comes up at the right time.
I love that.
Any card.
Do you like different kinds of games, or is it just
I like games. Actually, now that I think about it, I need to think about that. Dang. Maybe I need to go back to playing games. Yeah. Okay, now you give me the card.
Okay, I didn't read it.
What do your parents do that you want to do too?
So my father is no longer here, but he is so alive. He protects, he advocates for me, he vouches for me. He visits, he shares his humor, helps me to get along with life. We have conversations, even though I'm the only one hearing my voice speak on this end. But I would like to be that kind of presence to someone, you know. And I would say my mother sees me, acknowledges me, encourages me, always reminds me to keep my chest up and to keep my head up.
Oh,
you know. And that's something that I would like to make people feel, you know. I'd like to make them feel it entirely about themselves. So that's just some of what my parents do. And then they're just hilarious and intelligent. And they see me and have seen me that way. So I want to just give more of that. And they both love people and serve people. And that's ultimately why I think I'm here.
May Papa's soul rest in peace. He's with you always.
Always.
And we will talk further about the ox. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to hug it out, so I need to get rid of you guys. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, put questions down below for Zoe, and just all of the beautiful and good things, and let us know who else you'd like to see on the podcast. And we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.